I also checked for any sharp nubs or plastic shards. There were none. I used clean polyurethane foam, which through some aging over the years assumed a little bit of a darker than cream color, but that was perfectly within the norm. I might state polyurethane foam is actually used in the interior of many mattresses and pillows. I think even for babies as well as adults. But anyway, I put on the bottom layer, I made a good 2 or 3 inches of foam, and then I elevated it slightly at the head of it. I then had thoroughly clean towels which were on top of that, so they had been put in hot wash and dried, and they were put on, and then we had a little bitty baby sheet or baby blanket onto which Sabrina. So there's absolutely no substantiation that this was, a dangerous conveyance for Sabrina. I might also add that hearing officer George Walton had spent an entire day an administrative hearing at the Department of Social Services at 3033 Wilson Boulevard. This was conducted on the 7th floor. George Walton concluded that there was absolutely no evidence of neglect or abuse on Nancy's or my part, and we were removed from the state child neglect registry. We were ordered to have psychological evaluations. The attending physician, who was just an intern from Georgetown University Medical School, I believe his name is Michael James Sheehan, he never introduced himself to Nancy at the hospital, but he shows up at our first court hearing and calls himself the attending physician when he wasn't even an attending physician. I even called Virginia Hospital Center a few months later, and they said they had no record of a Michael James or James whatever, or Dr. Sheehan on their roster. So he was kind of a shadowy character who just kind of buzzed in as a medical student and was bearing witness, and I would say slanted and inaccurate testimony against us. On April 23rd, 2005, we were having severe problems with the hostility and unprofessional and accusatory behavior of social worker Dana Zemke. We handed her a letter stating that in accordance with the law, we were going to secure legal counsel. We're also thinking that this so-called agreement to services, which was imposed upon us in duress, we wanted to pursue the possibility of rescinding our signature. Now, in consumer law, if you have a high-pressure salesman knock on your door, come in and bamboozle you to put a bunch of aluminum siding on the side of your house, they have a cooling off period, which I believe is 48 or 72 hours, where you can rescind your signature, and that's to protect the consumer. Now, there's no Miranda rights in the Child Protective Services. When Dana Zemke came to us the night before Nancy and the baby were fixing to leave the Virginia Hospital Center, she did not. There's absolutely no disclosure on the form. By the way, we have a scan of it on the website. There's no disclosure as to the consequences of signing this. Miranda rights is something that in criminal law, when a police officer arrests a person, they say you have the right to remain silent and you have the right to obtain legal counsel. If you cannot afford legal counsel, counsel will be provided for you. That is not provided in the so-called social services. In the case of how they select these county attorneys, we faced a judge in what they call family or domestic relations court named Esther Wiggins Lyles. Esther Wiggins Lyles started her career, I believe, in Arlington County by prosecuting cases for the Department of Child and Family Services, also known in the vernacular as Child Protective Services. So she already was on the team of looking at it from their viewpoint. I don't believe she's ever been in a defense capacity, so she had a natural one-way bias. Mary Craig, county attorney for Arlington County, our lawyers never told us this, but somebody who worked within the court system anonymously, well, off the record, told us that Mary Craig is the first wife to Congressman Jim Moran. They falsely accused my wife of having Asperger's syndrome. Now, I might add that Bill Gates apparently has Asperger's syndrome, and I believe that it is said that Steven Spielberg has Asperger's syndrome. Steven Spielberg and his wife Kate Capshaw, I believe, have about 12 kids whom they've adopted. Bill Gates is happily married, and he's a multi-billionaire. I think he's listed as one of the richest men in the world. I don't think Child Protective Services is going to take his child. We were ordered by Dana Zemke, Leslie Moran, and other people, the social services, to have a psychological evaluation at an outfit called Multicultural Counseling Center, something like that, in Springfield, Virginia. Well, here's the upshot. I was tested and found to have no particular mental illness. Now, as far as my wife Nancy, this woman who was educated in Costa Rica, incredibly was claiming that my wife had Asperger's syndrome, and we later hired, I laughingly say, a real psychologist. Well, we hired two. One was Thomas Goldman, and Thomas Goldman is a psychiatrist who we hired as our expert witness, and also a man named Dr. Moldauer, Lanning Moldauer, who was a professional in testing. Dr. Moldauer stated that if he had a student who did quality of work of Gazelle Haas, that he would fail her. That's what he said.
1:07 p.m. and another lady actually passed by here, and I talked to her. She had the same problem with Arlington DHS. They put her child in foster care. She says her daughter's 15 years old. They put her daughter in foster care, and then she says her daughter ran away from the foster home, and now she is desperately trying to find her daughter. I offered her the chance to be interviewed, but she said that the Arlington DHS had threatened her not to speak to anyone to publicize her case. And they tried to do that to us also.